Welcome, people, for another exciting episode of Who's That Anime with your hosts Steve and Colin. We're falling down the rabbit hole of Steins still, and I think we might have missed some stuff out last week.
Did we?
I think so.
Or did we miss out again?
I can't remember. Did we mention that Mayuri was still survived for an extra day, or survived the point where she was meant to be killed?
No.
Ah,
No. That seems like that's important.
that's quite important for the last episode that we talked about.
Yeah, because we talked about the fact that the timeline was different, but not as different as they thought.
Yeah, but we never mentioned that Mayuri's is alive past the point that she's meant to die.
Yes. So far, she's alive anyway.
Yes, so far. So has he changed it? Who knows? Tune in this week to find out.
On the next episode of Okabe, Mad Scientist Man.
Okabe the mad scientist. Hoji Komija.
I can't remember what stupid fucking name. Howie Kamawi. He just says a bunch of stuff really with gusto, and yeah, it's what are you drinking today, Colin? You got the good stuff.
Tea.
Tea.
That's the good stuff.
That's fair. That's fair.
Also.
Oh, it's a visual medium. Oh, it's a teapot.
It's a teapot, but I'm not stirring the tea anymore because it's in that metal container in the middle.
Well, that's probably for the best, though, right? You don't really want to keep that going for too long, no?
No. But have it like full blackness, like the heart of my heart. I don't know.
No, I am drinking Lemsip, which is
he's still on the Lemsip.
Yeah, caffeine is getting me through.
Hey, well,
slowly but surely.
We'll get there at some point.
So, yeah, you're totally right. That is a valid thing that we did not mention that we probably should have mentioned in the previous episode. Mm-hmm. This week we are going to be talking about episodes 17 and 18.
Yes, 17 and 18. I do have a phone.
What is episode 17 for me is called Made in Complex.
Made in Complex. Ooh, Porco Rosso. I haven't watched that in a while.
No, that seems like that's not the same title.
No, hang on. Made in Complex.
Yep.
Yes, as in MADE, not MAID.
No.
Okay, that is number 7.
Are we 3 for 3?
I think so.
We're 3 for 3. Holy shit. Oh. I think it's starting to sync up now, Colin.
I think it is. We can't be making random names out of these things now.
No, there's been a change in the timeline. We're all good. As an interesting anecdote around the idea of is it MADE or is it MAID? My wife was playing Scribblenauts. I don't know if you remember that game.
I know of it. Never played it.
Yeah, so it's a game where you type words to do a thing. Like, I need a big red bat. Or I need a small blue yo-yo.
Okay.
Or a black hole. Or a jetpack. Things like that.
All right.
And it just materializes them into the game.
Oh.
Now, my wife was playing it, and a vampire attacked her. And it was like, well, what would you use against a vampire? And she's like, oh, a steak. But she typed in STEAK. And just like this T-bone steak fell in front as she was then continued to be attacked by a vampire because she typed for the wrong steak.
English language. It's the best language.
It's silly. It's homophones, man. It's the difficulty.
Homophones.
I think it's homophones.
Don't ask me.
Words that are spelled differently that
Different meanings.
uh,
Same sounds.
have the same pronunciation but different meanings, origins, or spellings.
Homophones.
Homophones, yeah.
How do you spell that?
So HOMOPHONES.
Wait. Homophones.
Yeah, I guess like I've always said it as homophones, but
It
yeah.
could be homophones. I mean, I don't know. That's a new word for me.
There's words underneath it that are, like they give you that idea about how you might try to pronounce it. Oh,
But
actually, I can click a button. Hang on, hang on.
don't hear that.
Homophone,
Homophone.
homophone. Apparently, you can just go into Google and type it over, click it over and over and over, and it'll just shout homophone at you for an hour.
Yeah. I mean that could be misconstrued to be something else. Like
Like a gay phone.
the K phone, yeah. That's what
I don't know.
what do gay people use to phone each other? A homophone. I mean that's probably hellish, inappropriate, but I'm sorry.
No, no. But also, it is a valid point. It brings up the whole homophobic thing where it's like, it's the prefix homo isn't on a lot of things, and also it is actually one of my favorite Simpsons jokes where Martin Prince uncovers a dinosaur bone, or a bone, sorry, in the ground,
Mhm.
and says that it's from one of the major homos, like homogeneous, and Bart immediately responds with "You're one of the major homos," and it's just such a stupid fucking joke, but it makes me laugh. It's
Oh
real dumb.
dear. Yeah. I was watching a comedic skit, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember the thing, and it'll just go horribly wrong. But it was on about how R. Kelly is isn't a pedophile, and
Oh no, wait, he has a specific philia that is
yeah,
not actually pedophilia.
yeah, because
Yes.
pedophilia I think is was it
By the legal definition, that is a correct statement.
yeah yeah.
But I think to everyone's mind, it does not matter.
No one cares. Well, anyway, yeah, there's like three subgroups,
Yes. Yes, for the
and
different age ranges.
yeah, and he's obviously one of them. But then the comedy skit ends with like, so you can't really explain this without actually making it sound like a pedophile.
Yes, that is a valid concern, I feel,
Mm.
when trying to describe. It's like I'm just telling you how I'm legally not that, or he's not legally that. I mean, you know,
Yeah, pretty much.
by law he's fine. Not
Well,
fine,
not
but
fine.
not that bad.
It's
He's
not.
not the worst. And it's like, no, he's not the worst, but he's not the best either.
Yeah, midget in the closet.
That was a weird song.
What's that actual song with his being a midget in the closet?
There was a whole, I think it was called a hip opera about like I can't even remember
I thought it was
the name of
SNL.
that thing was. No, like it's a real thing.
It's a fucking real thing. I thought it was like a comedy skit where he just pops out to be a midget in a closet.
Uh I'm sure no, I'm sure it's legit. Hang on.
Which, I mean, don't search for it, man. You get yourself tired.
uh
It's like,
there we go. It's Trapped in the Closet is the name of the whole thing,
oh god,
and it is R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet, Chapter 9. Um, hang on, we'll get there. Uh, uh, Now pause the movie because what I'm about to say to y'all is so damn twisted. Not only is there a man in this cabinet, but the man is a dramatic pause is a midget. Like that is legit. It's legitimately a thing that R. Kelly sang about.
And then you wondered
Uh,
why he got done. He
yeah,
was insane.
he's a weird guy. Um,
Apparently so.
it sure does suck not being able to enjoy Remix to Ignition anymore, but I guess it's a small price to pay for him going to, serving whatever jail sentence or whatever the fuck it is he needs to do.
Yeah, and same with Bob Crosby.
No, wait. Are you thinking of Bill Cosby?
Bill Cosby, yeah.
Yeah, he was a slightly different type of not good person.
Oh no, he was, yeah, yeah.
I believe the
Oh,
term is serial rapist. Like, he is not a good person. Sort of the opposite of that.
yeah, and then we got Rolf Harris over here.
Yeah, God.
No more
Oh,
tying kangaroos down.
Gary Glitter.
Yeah, Jimmy Savile.
Fuck.
To think he hosted a child TV show where he got the
He
kids to
did.
do things
He did.
like not
To be
not those
clear,
things.
the things he was asking children to do were probably all right for
Oh,
the
yeah,
television
it
show, and
basically like
not.
awarded them for being kids and took them to the theme parks and shit like that.
Oh, God, it all just seems so terrible now.
Yeah, he was a weird guy too.
Well, yeah. Yeah, he was. I think, yeah, okay, let's get off this train, let it sail off into the sunset, and then probably fall
Crashing,
off the bridge. Yeah.
crash off the cliff,
Yeah. Let's send this train with Bill Cosby, R. Kelly,
and
off a cliff.
all the others.
Yeah,
Um,
they can get in the sea. Um, so we're on to episode 17. It is called Maiden Complex. And this is kind of starts now. Basically, this episode starts, if you remember, as you were saying, like Mayuri has actually survived a day longer, but oh no,
oh
Eh,
no,
eh,
yes.
oh
Yeah,
no, indeed.
yeah. So he's just sitting in the lab watching Mayuri, saying, "Oh, it's been 20 hours now, and she's not dead yet. Have I
Yeah,
done it? Moving it up that fraction? Has it? Has it done what I needed it to do?" And then Mayuri goes, "Oh no, my watch has stopped. I just wound it." And he's like, "Ah, fuck."
there's that line again.
Yeah, and then boom, doors get kicked in, and guys appear with like big submachine guns.
Yup.
Uh, and then it cuts to the intro,
Yep.
and then he's talking to Carissa about all the shit again.
Yeah, because he's already gone back, of
Mm.
course.
He's like,
At this point,
yeah, he's gone back.
yeah. But he's talking to Carissa about the idea of like, because he at the end of the last episode, to fix the situation with Suzuha's time travel tragedy, he made it so that she could leave earlier so that the time machine wasn't broken. So he sent a email back to himself to
Yep.
tell him not to stop Suzuha from leaving so that she can successfully go back to 1975 for the IBN. And as we saw in the last episode, is that they still don't have the IBN, but it does show a value difference in the divergence meter. Not as much as they had originally hoped, but enough. And then, as you said, like Mayuri survived that additional day. So it seems like it's worked in delaying it, but obviously it has not changed the ultimate outcome. So then they
No.
kind of start to talk a little bit more around, well, if that one can do that and push it back a day, surely doing it for the others will also make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So this time it's Faris.
It's Faris, yeah. It's
Yeah.
her email, and if you know, if for those of you who've been listening and for those of you who haven't, it's that her email. So Faris is the owner of what was the Cat Cafe in Akihabara, and super successful. Basically, created the sort of anime culture in Akihabara,
Mm-hmm.
and then pleaded with Okabe to send a message back to the past. We don't know what that message was, but we know that it results in her father coming back into the picture. And not only that, but the significant change is that she never opens the cat cafe. She never opens anything. She doesn't introduce that culture to Akihabara, so the business styles change.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it has a really significant impact on the timeline. That one in particular.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. That's right. So he goes to Faris, basically starts talking to her about the email, and she's like, "What are you on about?" And then he says, the time machine that we made. And it's like, yeah, yeah, I totally believe you. I also made a interdimensional teleporter. It's like, okay, wink eye.
Yeah, wink.
It's like, no, no, it's true. But um, he doesn't go there straight away because he has to find her, and she's getting chased down by a couple, like a
It's
Rhinet
like a
team who like
yeah,
beam
and
people up.
that is that the game
That's the
that she
game.
plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know why I for some reason struggled to connect that because I had originally thought it was like something to do with like the business that she was in, but then I remembered she's not really in a business anymore, so it didn't really make sense.
Yeah. No, she's
Um,
pretty good at the game apparently. So she won a tournament,
yes,
and
yes, and they were upset at not winning.
yeah. And then he meets her there, and she kind of just grabs his hand and goes, "Go run!" I was like, "What?" And like
Yep,
this guy goes,
bail out.
"Yeah," and then the guy goes, "Oh, she's picked up some dude." To to the boss guy. Anyway, so they're kind of running about Akihara,
I I always say it's
Akihabara,
Akihabara.
Akibara.
Yeah,
Um, Run
yeah,
around Akibara trying to lose these guys while he's explaining to her why he called,
yes,
and it's a matter of life and death for Mayuri. In fact, I think they're hiding on a bridge, and she starts to
yes.
get her memories back.
Is it does that start to happen when he mentions that it's about life and death for Mayuri?
I think so, but he also kind of grabs her
That's right. Yeah,
by the shoulders and goes, "It's life and death."
yeah. Like that is it's true because like he's becoming well as we've seen like more and more manic uh at his perceived failure to keep Mayuri alive.
Yeah,
Um, and it's definitely starting to impact his social skills uh, when it comes to dealing with other people. Um, but I think he, as she starts to remember things, because he then starts to jog her memory and take they start to walk past where the maid cafe would have been.
yeah. and they go in
Yeah.
since we
And this is where
abandoned
it all
restaurant.
starts to come flooding back. Is that she starts to remember the other timeline. Um,
Yeah, I
and I'm
don't.
trying to remember if that's happened to anyone else,
Mm,
or if this
no,
is the first instance of that.
it's certainly the first instance of that. He he
Because
never
he's
had to.
always been able to remember, right?
Yeah, he's always been able to remember, but no one else really remembers.
Yeah.
Um, Carissa or um, it's always kind of she kind of always kind of works it out because she's maybe smart.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you done this.
Yeah. She notices the signs that there are many of.
Yeah,
It's easier to read.
yeah,
But I did wonder because like he's a bad use case because of course like he always remembers everything. So if he had an email, which he did, and then uh he then ends up remembering stuff regardless. But this is the first time he's tried to convince someone to unsend something.
yeah. Because Suzuha, he does it before she kind of dies.
Yes.
So he does it to
Yes.
change it so her mission isn't a failure.
And he also does it to himself.
Does it to himself?
Well, he sends the message back to himself.
Oh yeah, because
Whereas more often than not, when people are sending messages, they're not sending them to themselves. They're always sending them to other people.
uh, so far
Because
yeah,
with Ruka, it was a pager message to her mother.
yeah,
With well, we find out who Faris sends it back to,
yeah.
but it's not to her.
No,
Uh, and I'm trying to remember who else. And Moika.
sends it back to
I guess
herself.
we don't know. Oh,
She
she did send hers back to herself though, because she told her not to buy her phone.
yeah,
So
that's what she
so that's interesting.
sends back,
Uh,
and is that
is it
it?
all of them? Because all the other ones have been well.
The only other one
I
was
guess
his.
not. No, because it's Daru to Okabe,
The Haruto Okubi?
but like for the lottery numbers and things like that. Oh, sorry, that was Okabe to
Ruka again.
who was that?
Ruka. Or I think Okubi to
Oh
himself. But
no, because he
Ruka,
fucks up the numbers. Ruka fucks up the numbers, or he fucked up the numbers.
yeah. And finally passed it on to Ruka to buy. I can't remember.
It's interesting. Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to see if there's like a line I can draw with why. Because with him, you kind of have to discount it because he's always sending things back to himself, sends things back to himself, but also second to that is he remembers everything regardless. So it's difficult to
Yeah,
draw any parallels with what's happening. But for Faris, we know for a fact she didn't send. Well, no, we don't know that I suppose right now, but we
yeah,
do find out that she doesn't send the message back to herself.
yeah,
So is there something in this where people that are not sending the messages back to themselves for some reason can begin to remember? Like where's that link? What is it that is allowing them to perceive a memory from an opposite an adjacent timeline?
just Okubi so far.
Yeah, but of course he's now convincing her that this has happened and she's remembering things. So
Yeah, she remembers
like
it.
now
Yeah,
she's starting to understand it. Um, but yeah, this is where we kind of get into what she actually sent the message back for. And of course, as we know, sort of the outcome to, as we said, like Akihabara didn't become the center of Moe culture that it was,
yeah,
because the cafe, the maid cafe, just didn't exist anymore.
yeah,
And that was because her father returned.
Mhm.
That of course we didn't know what had happened to the father.
Or yeah.
And and of course she explains that. No, I'm gonna get this wrong, I think, but
Well, at this point, I think basically, um, at this point, they're there, they're talking, and he goes, "It's life and death. Yuri's going to die if you don't unsend your message." And they says,
oh yeah, that's right.
but I can't do that because my message saved my dad
Yeah,
from
that's right.
dying 10 years ago. 10 years ago, my dad died, and now that didn't happen. And he's like, "Ah, oh, shit."
It's this is real rough because it's I I think this is kind of a continuation again from like the previous episode where it's very focused on that very character centric sacrifice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, I think the thing that got me in the last episode is like Suzuha makes this sacrifice and it doesn't work out, and then of course we fix it, but only so that it works out
Mm-hmm.
and not so that it's any more okay because she still dies one way
Yeah,
or another. So there's a kind of a sadness in that generally, I think.
yeah,
Um, and then again, we're in this situation where, as you said, like she sent that message back to stop her dad from dying,
mm.
um, which Okabe is now basically asking her to undo, and obviously in turn killing her father all over again.
yeah,
Um,
and
so it's sort of an impossible situation.
yeah. I was That's it. And then the goons find him in the restaurant somehow, and then beat him up.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
next
they
thing
give
you
him
know,
a damn good kicking.
yeah, Okabe's getting beaten up in some random uh, construction lot somewhere down an
Yeah,
alleyway, and they're about to drag Ferris away, and he crawls and goes, "No, you can't be doing that." And he's like, "Oh, all right, you want some more?" And they pull out a knife, and then crazy, crazy butler man kind of like drives down his alleyway, smashing into
yep,
all the bins and shit.
it's super good.
And they're like, "Oh shit!" And they're all on the phone to the boss. It's like, "Oh, we want to do this," and then he's kind of ranting away as an evil boss man does, only to
Yeah.
go because they drop the phone when they run. They go, "Wait, what? Is this the cops? What? Oh, oh, never mind." Or something like that.
It's a very non-committal exit to his strategy.
Yeah, yeah. And then Okabe and Faris is rescued by Ferris's dad,
Yep.
who said,
Who is in the car with the butler, of course.
"Yeah." He says, "Ah, I couldn't. I came to the tournament, but you guys left already, and you wouldn't answer your phone. How am I meant to keep an eye on you?"
Yeah. I think at this point, Faris has already spoken about sort of what the because as we know, like it saved her dad, and it kind of goes into the detail of he was supposed to get on a flight or did get on a flight,
Mm-hmm.
of course, and that flight crashed.
No, I think it was a
Uh,
bit later.
no, because it's before that. Because in the car, did they not start discussing about like um
No,
that he was yeah because the whole point of it is that at this point he knows that there's been a kidnapping message has been sent about Faris because he explains that the reason he doesn't have the IBN 5100 anymore is because he had to sell it in order to make the money to pay the ransom.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So he did that, and that was kind of the message because it's like, "Oh, it's all right, Daddy. You can tell him you saved my life," type thing. And then it
Yeah,
says, 8 years ago, there was a kidnapping and I had to sell this computer.
yeah.
Uh,
So the message basically was Faris saying I have your daughter, and even though she is his daughter,
Oh, but he didn't know
uh,
that because
no, it's very cool,
but
very very. It's super weird though.
yeah, I mean, because yeah, so she does that from the future. I think that's the message went
Yep,
back, and basically, because it was her birthday or something, and a business trip happened, and he had a big nasty fight with the dad about the
yep.
business trip, and she goes away on this trip, and he was going to come back on a plane, or he had a big nasty argument, and they had to fight on the train to get on the plane, and he gets on the plane, and then that plane crashes or something,
Crashes, yeah.
and then her message is thinking in the back is to tell him not to go on that plane, and that she forgives him or something. I think the kidnapping happens in the real time.
Does it?
I think that's what it is because they do mention that the kidnapping happens though. Maybe that's or
Because
maybe
I thought she
thought it's the
explained
trip
that it was a
altogether.
fake. It was a fake ransom note to
E-
stop him from getting on the plane.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong plane though, because also there's been two planes, one to get
Well,
there and one to come back, and the one that's come back is the one that
the
kills
one
him.
that crashes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that might be what it is because I think you're right. Like they do have a falling out before he goes on the trip.
hmm
But yeah, it basically the whole point is that she's been able to undo this and unpick it because she changed the flow of events and caused him to have to focus on something different.
yeah,
Meaning he never gets on the plane. Um, and it's sort of it is one of those, I think, another really good example of just a well written storyline of that idea of, well, you could just change this. Like you know exactly what led to that, right? You could
yeah,
try and change it. Um, and I think the fascinating thing about that, I think the thing that's maybe even more kind of heartbreaking about it from Okabe's perspective is it seems to be have been so simple to save his life.
yeah,
So simple. There was one D-mail. It was a one-time thing, and then for Faris, she had her father for 10 more years or 8 more years or however long.
yeah,
He has been attempting to make one small change over and over and over and over and over to save Mayuri, and having been unsuccessful every time. Like he
yeah,
just tries and tries and tries. And I think there's like I don't know, like I don't know if you're supposed to read into that, but that's why I kind of read into it is like there must be a real frustration there with how simple it was to make that life-saving change for her, and the fact that he is now having to ask her to undo that simple life-saving change that definitely works to maybe fix it from Mayuri, maybe.
maybe.
So I think there's maybe a little bit of conflict. He feels conflicted there of like asking her to give up what is clearly an easy, sure thing, uh, to help in what is a matter of life and death,
Yeah,
but ultimately he knows probably won't move the needle enough on its own.
yeah, yeah. I think they're going with the whole got to resolve all the time jumps.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
but might as
So
well do it one at a time anyway. So
yeah. Well, I think you can only do it that way. Um, yeah. So they have like this weird heart to heart thing because he's beaten up and they kind of mend him up and he stays there
yeah,
at her place and she's like, "Let me spend some time with my dad and we'll do it," type thing because she kind of now feels that things are not right somehow.
well, I think I think she, and again, this is me maybe reading into it more than I need to, but it feels to me that she feels the guilt that her small change may in some part have led to a change that should never have happened. Because she knows herself that her father not dying is not how it should have been. She's made a change there that uh it was never should never have happened, and now yeah, he's lived extra time, and as a result, hey, now Mayuri is shot and
Yeah.
dies,
Yeah.
and we're finding it very difficult to undo this. So I think she understands her part in it. I know
Yeah.
she like cares a lot about Mayuri too. So there's
Mhm.
like that sort of waiting as well, where yeah, like I think like as emotionally that must be a very complex scenario. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It definitely is. Certainly, because she's obviously got to sacrifice her dad for this.
yep.
Um.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah, I guess I think that's the other thing is I suppose like, we're talking about precluding him in this example, but God knows what else will have to change in order to it might hey, maybe we don't stop with just the changes we've made. Maybe there are other things that need to change in order to shift the timeline.
Maybe. Maybe. Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Who knows?
Um I also don't know, just to be clear. That's me just predicting that might be a way that this goes. Um but yeah, she's kind of begins to accept the reality of the situation, and obviously agrees to cancel out the D-mail with another one.
Yeah.
We did mention very briefly that in order to pay that ransom, the fake ransom, wherever that money went, I don't know. Like, but the point is that he sold the IBN 5100 to someone in order to, because I don't think he had the money at hand at the time to pay the ransom. So
Yeah.
he ended up selling the IBN 5100, which is why it then didn't end up in the temple with
Yes.
Ruka.
That's
So
right.
it's still, yeah, that's why it wasn't there. Um, excuse me, dying slowly but surely.
I mean, we all are.
Sorry.
We all are.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess like the last few days has felt more expedited, but yeah,
It's
he'll be
true.
fine.
It's true.
But yeah, yeah. So she sends the message to cancel out the other message,
Yep.
turning Akihabara back into the hub of Moe culture that it always was,
Yep.
and as we said, sort of removing her father from the timeline again.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but unfortunately, also still, even though now that the IBN 5100 wasn't sold, it's still not at the Future Gadget Lab.
yeah, and it's not at the shrine either. I think. Don't know if I find that out.
Yeah,
Because the next thing I think is we're in the lab, and Ferris is there asking if Okabe's seen her phone since
yeah.
uh, Mayuri doesn't know where it is, so it's got to be him, and he's holding it in his hand. Oh, what? Oh, here you go. And then she's like looking at my secret emails and something like that, and playing all kind of kawaii with him, and he's like,
Yep.
"What, Ferris?" And then he's like, "No, don't do that. It's not. You might be saying some other bullshit to me." And it's like, "Oh," and then he's like, kind of like hugging her or something, or has hands on her shoulder, and Carissa goes, "Hey, stop flirting with all the girls."
He does have quite a harem, to be fair, that he's developed in this show.
Yes, he does,
Um,
but that's probably the nature of the
I
game.
yeah, I include Daru in that, even though he has his own digital harem. So
Yeah. Um, and then Mayuri's there goes, "Oh no, it's just command man blah 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 blah."
What?
thingy. Comrades.
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie, that's the word.
Yeah.
See, English.
Comanche.
Comanche. Comanche. Yeah, so, and then I think that's where it ends.
It does, yeah. Well, they know that the IBM 5100 has not returned to them in that timeline yet, anyway, because it's not in the lab. So
Yeah, because I think
it's not
that's
in the
what
lab anyway.
I think that's what the aim is, to get back to the IBM 5100 so they can hack into CERN.
Yeah, because in theory, at that point, they should have already spoken to Ruka about it having been at the temple, which was left by Suzuha, because we know that Suzuha was successful in getting the IBM 5100 to someone, which is probably
As mentioned, it's Ferris's dad.
to Ferris's dad.
Because he does mention Suza. And he goes, what, wait, what?
Yes.
You don't mean Suza, do you? Because he
That's
obviously
right.
uses her last name, I think.
Which is that's the connection, is that Suzuha made it back in time to get the IBM 5100, to get that to Ferris's dad, who would then leave the IBM 5100 at the temple with Ruka, and basically leave the message that, hey, some people are going to come by one day and they're going to ask for this.
Yeah.
And you're going to let them take it.
Yeah, and but he was unable to keep that promise, because that's what he says. Unfortunately, I was unable to keep that promise. And then from that day, I would never break a promise with Ferris.
Yep.
Or Ruri.
And of course, that is then all undone.
Yeah. All undone.
Because he did keep that promise in that timeline.
Yeah, in the new timeline. But like I say,
or in the I guess it was pretty much the same as the one before, though, right? Like the outcome. So this is kind of going back down a level, no?
Yeah. So I think we got to 0.45 something, where I think we're 412 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he has the diversion meter. Yeah.
No, he doesn't have the divergence meter at that point, does he?
No, not anymore. But we get to see the number as it cuts back, because it does that in the show. It's like, oh, look, the number's changed, but no one knows except you guys, the viewer. Do-do-do.
The viewer. The omniscient viewer. Okay. What do you rate this one?
It's good. Got some emotion in it. Some action as they run everywhere. It's maybe cheaper animation budget on this one.
Yeah.
Because they're running down these streets and you don't see the streets and you don't see the buildings, you just see the blue sky.
Yep.
For a good 10 minutes. Well, maybe 5. But it was alright. It's moving the story along and creating interest. I'm going to say an 8.
Okay. I'm going to say a 9.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think as much as the episode is very much focused on Faris and sort of her relationship with her dad and that kind of sacrifice, I think there's a lot, as we kind of talked about, that kind of is left unsaid and just kind of exists in that tension about that request that he's asking of her. It's like, I just need you to undo the fact that your father's still alive. You can do that. But also, when they're dragging Faris away, he's already like pretty much dead, and still tries to drag himself to make it stop. And I think there's a couple of things in that. Is one, he was never in any position to stop anything like that in the first place. And 2, he was certainly not in the position to stop it in the condition he was in at that point.
Yep.
And yet he still did it. And like, I think that's a kind of a huge character building moment, I think, for Okabe.
Yeah, but you kind of see that he's always kind of tried to do the best thing for people, even though he's been a dick about it.
Mostly that sort of attitude has been aimed at Mayuri, and we know that their relationship is sort of very special. There's a connection there that we kind of know some things about, but maybe not everything about just yet.
Yeah.
But I think this is where we see that level of commitment and determination extend to someone else. Yes, he always tries to maybe like do the best, but this is a situation where he is trying to. Could literally be laying his life on the line.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he wouldn't do it for anyone else. I guess my point is that, but it's the first time we sort of, I think, see that to that degree, that commitment and determination.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the first episode where Carissa dies. But then he just finds the body. He runs towards the
Yeah,
danger, though.
he does. But I always thought that was out of curiosity more than anything else.
I
But I
mean,
may have read that wrong, because at
I
that
spo-
point, I guess I don't know any better, right?
you don't know, yeah. But he tells Mayuri to go away. Goes, get out of the
Yeah.
building.
But again, that's Mayuri, and that's his focus.
Yeah.
So, like, but I think you're right. Like, actually, in hindsight, maybe looking back at some of the scenarios that have looked more selfish or things like that, maybe that's not the case. You know, maybe there is a more altruistic approach.
Yeah, it's just well hidden. And that's
Yeah.
how it's maybe, I think.
Yeah, I really liked this episode. It was good.
Mm.
I think it's a really strong character building episode, and Faris I actually think is quite an interesting character generally. So I'm all for like hearing more about her story and how things go. So
Yeah.
that a lot.
Chris's comment right then is like, "Oh, Ferris, you're just mad as him."
Yes, yes, we've established that.
Yes, we have.
She's definitely a couple of loops short of a cereal box.
Yep.
But in a good way, I think, and in a well-meaning way.
Yeah, I think
So yeah,
it's the same.
that then leads us on to episode 18.
Uh-huh.
This one, and we're gonna try and go for 4 here, okay?
All right.
Fractal Androgynous.
Mm-hmm. Fractal Androgynous. Yeah.
4 for 4.
Androgynous.
Yes.
Androgynous.
I mean, if you were pronouncing it wrong, yes.
I'm not pronouncing it wrong. That's exactly how it's spelled.
That's how it's spelled, yes.
Actually. How about this one?
Oh, God.
No, wait, it's in the R's in the wrong place. Yep, androgynous.
Sure. Or Andoroginosu is the
Genocide.
Japanese. No. Maybe,
No?
maybe not. But this
Android
so as we were
genocide.
talking about Android genocide. Oh no, it's AI all over again. The or iRobot. I mean, no, actually AI. No, I meant AI.
One of the movies about robots.
Yeah. So the continuation of this is that he is, now going to need to talk to the next person who sent a D-mail in that timeline, to do them in the order that they were done. And if we can cast our minds back, the first person, the person prior to Faris to send a D-mail was Ruka, and Ruka's message about to her mother, or his mother at the time, the message to eat more vegetables and less meat, so that he will be a girl instead of a boy. And in this timeline, that was successful. The D-mail worked.
Mm-hmm.
And
of course,
yeah, so of course that's this is a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, he literally the episode starts off strong with him right at the shrine going. By the way, you're a dude, right? So I need you
Oh,
to kind of sort out this email type thing. I don't mean oh, and then she's also starts crying because like the guy tells her she's a
what a
dude.
horrible thing to say to someone.
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't mean it in any derogatory way or anything like that. I just generally mean that's what you were in this other
Oh,
timeline. Uh, and of course that fails, and he goes away.
yes,
And then
yes.
he's sitting in the lab, all upset, and Carissa is like, "Well, what's up with you today?" type thing. And it's like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's just normal," or something like that. And then Mayuri comes in and goes, "Oh, I'm so mad I can't see straight at you, Okabe. How can you make Ruka cry? What did I make Ruka cry for?"
It's a bad. It's bad when Mayuri comes in and says, "I'm so mad."
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, I didn't mean it. And then how can you call him a guy?
Yeah.
And then Chris was like, "You did what? You can't be doing
It's like, I don't understand why we're having to have this conversation, Okabe. This is not okay behavior.
that." Pretty much. So he then drives Chris away, and then does the whole I know your stuff about your spoon and your fork. Trust me when I tell you about this time leap and how she changed it by saying the vegetable thing. And
Yep.
then Carissa goes, "All right, yeah, I totally believe you
Yep.
somehow. I don't know how,
Well, I
because
mean,
it's just
the,
preluded like that. That solves the conversation they must have had somehow."
to be fair though, at this point, we're trying to not go for endless eight syndrome and relive everything in
Yeah,
excruciating detail every single time. So I get it.
yeah,
I get
and
it.
I know I understand why they don't show it, but I just mean I assume that's what he's done to convince them.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to presume it's the same conversation. It's certainly what's implied.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, so she's like, "All right, well, in this instance, you could just technically just like do it yourself." And he's like, "Ah, here's the caveat. I don't know the pager number. I need to get
yep.
it off her." Um, and then I think,
Do you buy that though?
um, yes and no.
I I believe he doesn't have the number. Like
Yeah,
I 100% believe that. I don't believe that he thinks the only way to get that number is from Ruka.
I don't know, man. He's not right in the head, to be honest, because all the good ideas are coming from Carissa.
Well,
I mean,
I
the whole thing
I
of going back in time and sorting out all
oh,
the
that's her
emails
doing, yeah.
was her idea. Um, and then the whole one where she had to go back to do the two time leaps and get the time machine fixed. That was her idea.
Yeah. Can I ask though,
Uh huh.
why why did he have to get Faris to not send her email?
I think they're just going to logical steps of like Faris was one, it did a jump.
Oh, yep. No, I get that, but my point is that he got her to undo that by her sending another message telling her not to do that, presumably.
Yeah, but that's because I think she didn't. She never told him what the message was.
But he then knows.
He then knows because she's told him in this timeline.
So he could just send a message back at that point and fix it.
Oh, I know. It's
He could
also,
send a message to himself to tell him not to let her send an email.
to be honest, he could have done messages all the way back.
Exactly. But I think that this is where my logic comes in, right?
Uh huh.
So I think the approach is correct, doing it the step at a time, because
Uh
he's trying. But again, the reason he's doing
huh.
this is a kindness. This is a permissions thing, because what he's not trying to do is revert everything back to the way it was, because he sees that certain things have been better for people with the changes they've made with the D-mills.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion, and I don't know, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the point where he knows what the message is, and even actually, it doesn't really matter if he knows what the message is, because ultimately he knows what Faris sends back made the change.
Yeah.
He could have warned himself not to allow her to do it,
We could
and
have.
that would have been just as much of a change as her sending a message back telling her not to do it in the first place. You're risking change regardless, right? So, if you're risking change regardless,
Uh huh.
why is he going through such an effort with Faris? Why is he getting her to make the decision and be okay with it when he could do it without her ever even needing to think about it? Because he could do the same with Ruka.
Mm-hmm. Well,
He doesn't need the pager number.
he does state in the episode that he can't. He doesn't want to. He does state that he needs a pager number, but also it's kind of like the honourable thing to do.
And that's exactly my point.
Yeah, but
Is
he. Who knows if he sent one back to say, "Don't do the thing that to do," will resolve it in the same way. It could easily have.
but that's my point. Is but who knows that sending a message back to tell the person to not send the message or to alter the way it was done would send it back to the way it was. You're risking change regardless. He can go through a lot less effort to make those changes
Mm-hmm.
that he knows are going to risk in an outcome that is unpredictable anyway, but more predictable regardless of what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So I posit that this is purely him needing Faris and needing Ruka to ultimately accept the change, because he doesn't want to make the change for them. And I know we hear that with Ruka, but I looking back on it now,
Mm-hmm.
I think that almost certainly the same is true of what happened with Faris, because I think he could have undone that if he'd really wanted to. But ultimately, he knew what he'd be taking away from her,
Yeah.
and he wasn't okay with making that change for his happiness in exchange for someone else's. She needed to be okay with that decision.
Yeah.
I don't
That's.
think he was going to make her make that decision. She had to be okay with it, and I think that's the same with Ruka as well. Like, I feel like there's a lot of this here is not so much about what would logically work, because I think a lot of things would logically work with minimal change. This is about him not wanting to force decision and change on people. Uh, he doesn't want it's not about him not wanting to take responsibility. It's about him not feeling that it's right for him to take action.
Yeah. I mean, it's partly that I think, and partly the fact that they decided to go down this conclusion in the sense that they don't they don't know what he'll do if he did the thing if he interjects himself into it, and also they don't
Sure,
know, and they think that moving the timeline back by just getting people to stop their original messages will
but
fix
it's what's
things.
going to happen anyway, right? Because he's the linchpin. He's the one that remembers everything.
Mm-hmm.
So is it not less risky to have the person who remembers everything making all the decisions?
Uh, no, I don't know, because like I say, Ferris's message certainly he doesn't know what she sent. 'Cause she was like, "No, I ain't going to let you that," and everyone's like, "Yeah, don't you can't be reading all everyone's messages, man. That's not cool."
Yeah.
Um,
Like I
so
say, I'm not positing that this is broken. I'm not questioning the logic.
Mhm. Well, I'm not
I'm
saying
just
it's.
questioning I'm just questioning his motive
I mean, you could easily
in doing it the way he's doing it.
could do it that way. I mean, sure, it's probably partly down to being getting permission. Um,
Because ultimately, what would it hurt to send it, right? At that point. Because then, in theory,
you would
he could
know.
then use the machine to send him back to the time before he sent the message and not do it.
Oh, how do
He has a
you?
get out of jail free card every time.
How do you know he hasn't done it already? He just haven't thrown it.
You don't.
See, he
You
could have
don't.
done it, and then he's gone back to Chris and she's like, "Oh, maybe we need to do this then."
Maybe. And
Hmm?
I think that like maybe there is an element of that is like we're not getting the whole picture, but at the same time, like I say, is that I wonder if there's an even bigger conversation there is that say he does do it and say it's successful, does he see that his happiness then is more important than someone else's because he realizes that they are not they had what they wanted taken from them by him. Someone took what he wanted away from him,
Uh huh.
and he's just made that change, and he's going to be okay with that. So maybe he's found the solution,
Yeah,
but maybe he's not okay with the means.
it's possible. It's possible that that's what it is. I mean, to be honest, man, it could be that. It could be something else. It's,
Oh, I would buy whatever. I think that's the great part about this show is like you say is that are we even getting the whole picture or are we just getting the frame? Like, cause like here's what we're gonna look at right now. But there's been all this other stuff that's actually been happening that you have no idea about.
yeah,
That maybe we're gonna hint about. Um, but I think there's definitely an element of it for me where it seems that that's another sort of character defining moment for me when it comes to Okabe is that he doesn't want to take things from people because it's not his right.
yeah. He's certainly that. That's part of his certainly is part of his character. Um. Anyway, so they're having a discussion on the roof.
Yep.
And then I think he gets a text message from Ruka saying, "Come to the shrine. We need to talk."
Yep. Yep.
And then she kind of alludes that she does remember that she was a dude because she's. But I remember. Is it this point where she says, "Remember that time you first met?"
Yes. When he was being bullied, when
Yeah.
Ruka was being bullied.
Well, not Billy, but there's been wannabe paparazzi were taking this picture in the street,
So I'm trying to remember how this goes.
and then Dokume didn't really know and just stepped in and went, "Be gone," and they ran away.
That's right. Yes.
And then at that point, he kind of liked Okabe.
Yes. I think like this is a kind of nice storyline this episode because I don't think we really got the relationship between Ruka and Okabe particularly clearly. It certainly
Well,
didn't seem to me that they knew each other all that well uh, when they arrived at the shrine
the first time.
the first time.
Yeah, I think she's more Mayuri's friend, but at the same time, I think everyone's Mayuri's friend. So,
Yeah.
you're right, but at the same time, I think it goes on to the fact that we'll get into that later because it's
Mm.
something that's it's mentioned later. So then he goes, "Wait, you were a guy at that point." Oh yeah, I suppose I was.
Yep.
I was like, ah, right. I'll change my gender if you be my boyfriend.
We go on a date for the day.
Oh,
Like
well,
just
she says boyfriend, and then he's like,
she says his
what?
boyfriend. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how about just a date for one date?
Yep.
And he's like, oh, what? And
They agree though.
yeah, so he goes on a date, and he's like, "But he's a dude. Can't, that's not right. I don't like this type thing." But then Okabe's not that way inclined. It seems.
No, I think that's the difficult part is right now, for Okabe, there should be no problem, right? Like it's
Wow,
well,
questionable.
I get
He would
he's
be.
struggling with the knowledge. I think that it used to be different.
What was it homophobia? I don't know. It's kind of what we were alluding to earlier with the whole R. Kelly thing. Because
Okay.
she's still underage.
Yeah. Well, she's 17. He's 18.
I think he's older, isn't he? I don't know. Anyway, it is alluded uh, of Carissa going, wait, that's not right. The mad scientist going out with a high schooler.
Yeah. Yes. He's not in high school. She's in high school. So yeah,
Yeah,
I get that. But
I think possible. Anyway,
eh,
but it's like, no, I'm going to do it, and it's like, but I don't know. It's all it's all alien to me and how you do this type of thing,
uh,
and then Carissa does the old love manual book thing and says, I'm fairly skilled at this. In fact, I'm talking about this in the Maid Cafe. And Ferris
yeah,
was,
yeah, they are.
and
Now that it's back.
yeah, and Ferris is like, "Oh, who are you going on a date with? Oh, got to show him that your special technique." It's like,
Uh,
oh dear. And then
he's
Chris was like,
he's
"Nope."
no, he's a struggling person.
Yeah, and then Dario overhears.
Oh,
Goes,
Daru.
Dario goes, "You know what? I I got this in the bag for you, mate. With all my
Oh,
experience playing his hentai games." And he's like, "No, no, I don't need help from any of you guys." And then it's alluded that Chris is still a virgin, and
oh yeah,
no
that's an
more,
awkward moment.
no more experience in the whole thing as Okabe. Um, he goes searching for like a nice night out with to go to or a restaurant, and he's like, "I don't understand this type thing. It's all alien to me. How can someone from
Yep,
Mars understand this
someone
stuff?"
from Venus.
Someone from Venus thing, yeah. And then Dara's like, "Yeah, yeah, I could do this." And then they end up in the noodle cafe where Chris
Yep,
is reading the love manual thing, the dating guide book, as they
yep.
always have. I mean, we saw that in school days too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like a
Oh
weird
god, that's a callback I wasn't hoping for.
it's a weird thing in anime in general. I don't know how true it is to Japanese life of having a book manual to tell you how to go on dates. In fact, I don't even know if it's a thing here.
I I've certainly never come across it. So
Nor have I, but then I have never been looking.
no, I don't think anyone should be consulting any sort of love manual.
Anyway,
Seems
so
like a bad idea.
so basically, I think it states things like you should never be late for your date. You should be at least 50 minutes early. Uh,
Hmm.
take them out to a place, but it doesn't have to be expensive. So they're eating in the the cafe that they go to where he's always on the phone and get screamed at. And
For
Carissa
being
goes,
on the phone.
"Yeah, how about here?" It's like Carissa goes, "No, no, we can't be doing this greasy spin dive." And the waitress behind her, who I think maybe is also the owner, kind of
Yeah.
like just turns around, and scowls at her, and
Oh.
and then it's like, "All right, well, um, Queen May's end." It's like, "What? No, we can't be taking her there either." Then where?
Jeez.
And then Dario butts in with his hentai guide, which is almost as good, I
Yeah.
suppose, as the book that she's reading. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
guide
yeah,
to
I
a
guess.
game.
Yeah,
Uh,
awkward.
Anyway, so he gets a suit and tie. He, he's not in his lab coat.
Yep, he looks weird.
Yeah, I mean, so
He makes
weird.
me think of Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright, really?
Yep.
Not blue, man. He's not wearing a blue suit. It's not
No, it's just
also
it,
well ironed either.
it's
It's not got the creases
no,
in.
I guess that's true.
It's a bit more casual tie.
Casual Okabe.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to tie,
No.
and he got given a handkerchief, and he goes, "Oh, you know what to do with this?" And she's like, "Well, isn't this some sort of code?" And he's like, "Not if you're from the '80s. It is." It's
It
like,
isn't.
why is that going through your head? The same reason it goes through your head. There's some I don't know if it was this one or the previous one, but there's moments where he and Carissa are having like more um understanding moments in it.
Yeah, I don't remember actually. I don't think it is in the last one. I think that's very much focused on maybe the previous one.
Yeah, because there's another one. There's a moment where he basically uses her real name as a thank you type thing, and she's like, "Oh, great, use
Yes.
my real name." Just as about to forget it. Thanks, dude. And then he comes and then stares at her for a second,
Mm-hmm.
and then she says, "What are you looking at?" And he says, "Oh, nothing."
In that loving way. What are you looking at?
Well, a random guy or some guy just stares at people
Yeah, I mean
on
it's a
the
fair point.
opposite sex or same sex, I suppose.
Just
There's-
generally.
Yeah. Anyway, so now they go on their date.
Yep.
He's
It's awkward as fuck.
50 minutes early. Yeah. Uh, and Chris and Daru is spearheading, what was it? Operation Valkyrie.
Good name.
Yeah. Okabe approves.
Yes, he does.
And then, cause it came up, that was Chris's naming convention. And then, so meet up at the bridge. And then they go to the cafe and they kind of just have like an awkward conversation.
Yes. They have a conversation that just never seems to get off the ground.
Yeah.
It's sort of like if tennis rallies were just the serve followed by a return, and then a serve, and then a return, and then a serve, and then a return. It's essentially the whole thing.
Yeah. And he does something, I can't remember, she says something and they're kind of commentating in the background of what he's doing. Oh, he served it back. And
Yeah.
then he states something about it's been like the anniversary for some painting, like it's like the 100th year anniversary of the first painting in Japan or something. And then Chris goes, "Oh, he served it right into the pit." Oh
Like it's interesting. I found it interesting, but yeah, maybe not for everyone.
no, well, Ruka seemed interested in it.
I thought so, but it still felt kind of awkward.
Awkward. Oh yeah, feel awkward. And then they moved out, and Ruka says, "Oh, sorry if you find me boring." And he's like, "No, no, not at all," type thing. And then they wander along the street. Mayuri's handing out flyers for the cafe in her
Yep.
cafe outfit, and sees Ruka and a
Mm-hmm.
tall-looking guy. And anyway, the date ends, and he gets the number, and
Yep.
she kind of goes away crying. And then Mayuri comes in to see Okabe kind of like sitting on the couch, head in his hands, and Carissa and Daru's about to send the message, the pager, meat veg,
Mm-hmm.
meat veg, meat veg, meat veg. Um, and Mayuri pops in and goes, "Wow, I saw Ruka on a. Looks like she was on a date with some tall, dark, handsome fellow." And they're like, "Oh, you mean Okabe?" It's like, no, 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 it couldn't be Okabe. He wouldn't be caught dead in that outfit.
He tried. He tried not to be caught dead in that. He
Yeah,
was.
yeah. And then Okabe just kind of stands up at that point and goes, "Right, I'm getting her a real date," and goes to the shrine and basically makes her swing her sword.
Do training.
Yeah, the training. And then they look on and say, What's going on here?" And Mira's like, "Oh, look, they're having fun. We'll be."
Yep. It's yeah. I think it's kind of sweet. I suppose like because his comfort zone with Ruka, regardless of who Ruka is, was that kind of teacherly type
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
and for her or him, uh, it seems like that felt okay
Yeah.
because it was like that kind of the feeling of being valued and having a relationship, maybe not the one they had thought.
Yeah. I think that's it. And at some point in it where they do talk about how he's gone back to a dude who'd go and had to hide his feelings for him again because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's it's not right to have feelings for another man. Seems to be the undertone of this thing. Or he, or essentially Aruka hasn't come to uh being comfortable with being in that persuasion.
Yeah, I think like I don't know, like it's difficult to say because it's such a complex thing, but like it feels like obviously Okabe is Okabe, and is clearly just a straight guy, and for Ruka, uh, I think it's difficult as a viewer to discern whether the desire is for Ruka to be uh, a woman or for the purpose of that's what they want versus they know that that's what Okabe would want or be okay with. And
Yeah,
I think it's probably that feels a little shallow, and I think there is more to it than that. I think it is more just like a sense of self sort of thing, but it kind of fixed a problem in a way, uh, in that way too. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a shame. I think it's an it's not the worst ending. It just feels kind of it just feels a bit sad generally again, where like poor Ruka is now going to go back to feeling uh like they don't belong and that life is hard and they have to pretend to be someone else, and that just seems harsh. It seems a lot to ask of someone.
yeah. That's it's it's a bigger sacrifice
Yeah,
on that.
it's a big sacrifice again.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, it's maybe this outcome will help Ruka in identifying what they truly want.
yeah, I think that as well as like the important thing I think at the end of that episode is that the awkwardness and that is gone. Like they have their relationship back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a way where they both feel comfort and value in it, which is cool. And like you say, he's then I think feels the comfort to with Ruka's permission and output to say, yeah, you can send that message now to change this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course that's what he does. Where we then go back to the world line where Ruka is still a boy.
Oh yeah. Oh, and also before I do that, I do admit that the IBM 5100 was at the shrine until
It was stolen?
no, Ruka accidentally knocked it over in the storage
That's right.
because it was amongst all the other guff, and obviously no one knew that it was for him.
That's right.
So they didn't really think too much of it at the time. It was stored there
Yep.
for a reason. Anyway, and so she apologizes and admits to Okabe that's what happened.
And that's the reason that it's not
Not there
there.
in this
So,
timeline anyway.
yeah. So yeah, we go back to that timeline where Ruka's a boy, and that then leaves us with another message to undo.
Yeah. Also, I think he does a bit more tactful asking if Ruka was a boy.
Yes, I can't remember what it is, but yes, it's slightly less not as but it's definitely not as bad as groping.
Yeah, it's very much less intrusive. Can't,
Yes.
can't remember what it is. He just asks some of the questions like, "Oh yeah, he's a dude."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. So yeah, the next message to be reversed is going to be Moika's.
Yes, this is gonna be fun.
Oof. So how do you rate this one then, Colin?
Mm, I suppose it's a bit more slower pace. It's kind of like the whole awkward date episode that you get in animes. It's like, oh look,
Yeah.
we'll need to make you go and do things that are not part of like the normal script.
Yep.
Oh, we're doing it with Ruka. Oh, okay. Um, I don't know. I think it's staying around about an 8 for me.
Yeah. I think it's an 8. And I think like for the reasons you said, like the pace is a little bit slower. But I think the characterization stuff is still really good. It's really strong in this episode.
Oh yeah,
And I liked, like I was saying, like I liked the fact that it made me very aware of sort of the approach that's being taken to fix the timeline, at least to my mind, seems very focused on making sure that people are okay with their decisions, which I think is quite interesting.
yeah. I mean that makes sense. To be honest, um, I mean they're all big changes for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely large changes, except for Moika, who wanted a different phone. So
Yeah, let's find out.
hopefully this will be an easy conversation.
Oh yes, the easiest.
Yep, and we will find out next time when we talk about episodes 19 and 20, which then leads me to say is Who's That Anime is a podcast about anime, as you would have thought. Our
No, it's
home is
not.
at anchor.fm. No, is it not? Shit.
No, we've been
Have I
doing it.
fucked this up already?
We're doing it all wrong, man. We're doing it all wrong. We're not. No, it's never been a show about anime. It's been a show about random shit that.
Yo, you're right.
eh,
Sorry. It's a show about bullshit, and sometimes we talk about anime while we're there.
yeah, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's That Anime is a bullshit podcast where we sometimes talk about anime. Uh, we can be found at anchor.fm or anywhere where podcasts can be found. Spotify, Google Play Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast. We would love it if you would leave a review. Be that 5 stars, always welcome. Less than 5 stars, again, more than welcome with some constructive criticism. We don't make any money on this. We just kind of like to talk about stuff. So a great way for you to spread the word of the show or help us out would be to tell a friend if you like what we do, and get them listening. We have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Who's That Anime. Normally we post up when new episodes go live and some random memes and things like that sometimes. We have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com. If you look for the channel Who's That Anime in the search bar, you will find it. Colin has just put up the first part of Cowboy Bebop onto the channel, which has been great. I like the artwork you've chosen for the thumbnails. They're very nice.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff.
That was a
Uh,
pretty cool website where you get to
yeah.
change up the background color and stuff.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Good color schemes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you also have a channel on Twitch where you play games. That's twitch.tv/couchfuel. No games being played at the moment, but there is a great archive of all of that stuff at youtube.com if you search for the channel Couchfuel. Similarly, I like to play games sometimes at twitch.tv/hailpayman, but haven't done so much lately. But there is an archive of that stuff on YouTube. If you search for Hail Payman at youtube.com, you will find that channel. And I think that is us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Just what you say. I think at the time of listening to this podcast, it should be the Tokyo Godfathers episode up on YouTube.
Oh, sweet.
On our.
That was a favourite of mine to cover.
It was. It was a pretty good movie. It has
I really enjoyed that movie.
a full-on Christmas feel.
Yeah, that was great fun. I remember watching a large portion of that in hospital.
And what?
Yeah, I remember when I like lopped a bit of my toe off at Christmas time.
Oh, yeah.
I ended up watching quite a portion of it in hospital while I was waiting at A&E.
Oh, A&E wait, that's pretty good. That's like a
Yeah.
3-hour wait for me, I think.
Oh shit. I was maybe an hour.
I mean, I think I got taken away within an hour or two, but I was there for like majority of the day. I think I was like, oh yeah, you can go here. Someone will see you. And then I sat waiting in another area, and then someone finally came, picked me up, and went around looking at me. Maybe 2 hours.
Was this for your rage issue?
Well, my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only other time I've been to A&E.
That's
Well,
the only time. That's the only time I've been to A&E for me.
yeah. What
I've been to A&E plenty of times for other people.
Yeah, no, it was I might be wrong. I've fallen on my head a few times when I was a kid, so
I don't remember that, but yeah.
well, I remember to the degree that my folks had talked about it, and the fact that
Oh shit.
it's more the fact that I did it twice in 1 week, and like so I did it once, and then next week I did the same thing, and I made a comment while waiting in the hostel of saying that stretcher was in a different location last time. and they're like, "Stop! We don't want to get picked up
Oh.
by the social workers."
I hit my head twice, but I'm okay. I don't have any brain damage. Damage.
Damage.
Damage. Yeah, it's all good.
That's all good.
It's all good. So
I mean,
yeah, we will be back with episode 9 or act 9 of our our series.
well, Steins Gate
Act 10? Shit, wait, what one are we on?
9, because
I'm lost, yeah. I think it is. I
just about the number by 2.
did
Man.
I just release 8? Yes, I did. Okay, we're fine. Wait.
What?
No, this is episode 9. Next episode will be episode 10.
It is 10. Yeah, this is 9.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay, yeah. We'll be back with Act 10.
Act 10.
Of season 7.
Yeah. I
Good shit.
should also mention that I have been hit over the head by a hockey stick and got knocked unconscious too.
It's a lot of blows to the head, man.
Yeah, it probably explains a lot, doesn't it?
Well, we will be back.
Yeah, and I should hopefully not be comatose
You know, fingers crossed.
by any blows to the head.
Okay, do the outro. Go for it.
All right.
Send us home, Colin.
This has been Who's Your Enemy, as we've stated at least twice now.
It's not the name of the podcast.
Who's that?
I like that we still do this. Yeah, that's it.
What did I say there?
Who's your anime?
Maybe I should have went with that. Who's your enemy? Steins Gate.
Perfect.
Anyway,
Perfect.
Who's that enemy is being listened to right now.
Yep.
I am trying to wing this back. Right. Winging it back.
Bring it back.
Bringing it
Bring
back.
it back.
Bring it back. With your host, Steve and Colin. We are a weekly podcast and bi-weekly YouTube videos currently. Might be running out in August. Anyway, stay tuned for our next exciting episode, and maybe I'll get things right. Did I mention I got hit in the head at least 3 times in my childhood?
You never mentioned that, no?
No, I didn't mention.
I feel like we will be back. Same anime place, same anime time. I did genuinely think you were going to say, who's that anime is filmed in front of a live studio audience. I know it's not.
I mean, if there was an audience, then yes, it could have been.
It could have been.
But
It was not.
There's no audience.
No.
Unless
Seems like a good time.
Unless you're my audience. Well, I'm yours.
Audience of one.
Yeah.
Well, cut it. We gotta go.
Bye. See you next time, guys.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Same anime place, same anime time. Yada yada yada. Filmed in front of a live studio audience. Yeah, baby, I hear those blues are calling. Toss salad and scrambled eggs. That's the song, right? It's Frasier. Cool. We're good. Bye, folks.